Greetings, it's Johnny. I'm going to make some more elderberry. I'm trying to think, this is May, and I'm down at my less than 16 ounces of elderberry. This was my last jar. It's empty. I'm calling this making elderberry syrup 2.0 because I made some mistakes the last time. Maybe some of you noticed that you were kind not to say anything. Now, one of my mistakes was I added the honey way too soon. It's the last step you want to do is add the honey, because if you're going to have to silt out the goop, you don't need the honey going into the goop that you're going to discard or make some tea with. So that was one mistake I made. The other one had to do with separating the goop out of the liquid. So this time around, what I'm going to do is I have this part to the pot. And as you can see, there are holes in it. So what I'm going to do is add cheesecloth to this, and then I'm going to put this into the pot of water and boil that. And maybe add some more water and let it boil down. Now the funny thing about my batch was I ended up with, I don't know, I must have had like 12 jars. Or maybe like 10, something like that. But the later batch was less sweet than the first batch. And that's because I put the honey in too soon. And when I added more water, I didn't have more honey to add to it. I'm going to use honey this time around from my nephew's own bees. He's in Florida now. He used to have his bees in West Virginia because he was in the Navy and then in the maritime. He might still be in the maritime, but now he's based out of, he's in, I think it's Jacksonville, Florida, is where his bees all packed their bags and they all moved down there. He may have some bees up here in this state too. I get kind of confused about, what he's doing. But he's a younger guy, and that's what they do. They confuse us. So that's where I'm going to get my honey from this time around. But I'm going to add it last. So I was going to make this earlier in the week, but I couldn't find cheesecloth in the house. Now, I actually wanted cheesecloth for cooking, not for buffing. And I hope it doesn't matter. I know it says so differently on the website. Well, there's no smell to it, so I think it'll be all right. And if it's not, then I'm in trouble, I guess. Now I hope this is wider than this. Cheesecloth is not the right kind because it's only one layer, it looks like. Oh no, there's 2 layers. Here it is. So not quite 2 feet. I'd like to try to get as much of the stuff to the cheesecloth as I can. So I guess I used half a bag the last time, 8 ounces. When I bought these elderberries, they were $9 a pound. Now they're $25 a pound. They're not in season now. So maybe I'll have to try to remember. Aren't they pretty? I was thinking about planting elderberry bushes. I want to plant some bushes out front. I haven't decided what I want to do. I like a rhododendron. I like the New England version of the rhododendron, which blooms in July. The one that we see blooming now are Asian rhododendrons. It's the most common what people plant now. They're not as hardy. There's actually a park in near Keene, New Hampshire called Rhododendron State Park. I discovered it with my daughter one day because she had to use the facilities and I had to pay $6 for her to go in and use the facilities. But then I was talking with the ranger and he was telling me the difference between the Asian rhododendron, which is the most common and cheap actually, because you could buy them at box stores for next to nothing, and the traditional one that's native. The traditional native ones will grow to be huge plants. So there's 2 cinnamon sticks, and I'll probably put in some powder at some point. Maybe now's a good time. Got some right here. Saigon cinnamon. Well, we know cinnamon doesn't grow in this country, so we'll put some on there just to keep them friendly. These are the rose hips. Now I had put mint in, and I didn't quite like it, but after I got to the original batch, the mint actually didn't really taste so strong. So originally I kind of vowed not to do mint again, but I think I will still do mint because it does add certain energy to it. So these are the cloves. This is actually, I don't know where I got this recipe from. I looked at a lot of different elderberry recipes, and I might have combined a few things together. So this container here that says bacon bits is the mint. Let me not go too crazy about it. I think I may have put more on there than I thought I wanted to. Ooh, we have left star of anise. Gives that licorice taste. Between the licorice, the star of anise, and the mint, you can imagine it has a nice flavor to it. So what's left? Ginger. I have some ginger root. I have ginger powder, but well, so there's a good piece of root. Probably will still put some ginger in there. And you know, I'm going to add some orange peel. Just for the heck of it. Doesn't hurt to add on a new ingredient every once in a while just to see. Worst that can happen is my reaction will be. So there we go. A great thing to do would be to tie this. I took one of these clamps. Okay, now that's going to go in there. And then that's going to go in there. There we go. So we are going to let it simmer all day. It's about 11:30 now. So I'm going to let it simmer for the day. And maybe tomorrow. And then bottle it up. And we will test out. I'll bring you along with that. We will test out the new method. Now another way would be to do it is just throw everything into the pot and then line your colander with cheesecloth and strain it that way. But this is kind of like doing a tea bag. So I think it's going to work. Do you think it's going to work? I hope it's going to work. Worst to worst is I'll release the bag into the goop, into the mix. But I think it'll work. And we are going to let the hourglass spin. Greetings, it's Johnny again. We are back. day has passed. We've been letting the pot drain. I have it up on some skewers so that the goop in the upper pot will strain down into the lower pot. We're warming up the brew. There we go. We're warming it up. So, a little warm there. There's the glob. And on some skewers. It's always good to have some on hand, even though you never use them for what their purpose are. So I have a jar of honey. It's called bee honey. It's from my nephew Oliver's own harvest. And ladle up here. Kept thinking about diluting this down, but I think I'm going to leave it as is. Because I really didn't realize I only made it with 8 ounces instead of a whole pound. If I made a whole pound, I'd probably be tempted to add more water to it. Potency is much more important than making it last a long time. But always make more. The more honey you put in it, the sweeter it's going to be. But this is really good. Off camera, I'm licking the cover. Seemed like a good idea when I put it in there. Didn't think about how I was going to get it out. Need my bottle fogs. Well, there we go. We got 4 quarts. 4 quarts will last me 8 pints, 2, maybe 10 weeks, thereabouts. I have this small one here I'm going to give to my daughter. I bet she'll like it more than the last one I gave her. So, until next time, happy cooking. Make something of your own. It makes all the difference in the world when you make from scratch. Ta-ta! Ya cha-cha-cha-cha. Ya cha-cha-cha. Oh, before you put these in the refrigerator, be sure to cool them down to room temperature. Now these are pretty warm. So when you're canning and you're using the lids and the bands, and you put stuff in there warm, that's going to vacuum seal when it cools. Let it do it at room temperature before you put them in the refrigerator. Just so that it doesn't go to, it cools down slowly. So, greetings! It's Johnny. So I might include this into my next video, or I'll throw it up on YouTube. So, Johnny's love potion is empty. Time to make some new stuff. Thought I'd bring you along to see what I'm putting into it. So of course, first I need the funnel. Mason jar funnel. You always have one of these in your house. They fit the jar very nicely. Now if it's a big mouth, they don't fit as much, but it still works. But if you're just trying to pour things. By the way, if you've seen these spoons, I got these spoons to put in my jars because they fit. They're great soup spoons. See the difference? Big difference. So we are going to start with I'm going to add some ginger to the jar, which is something new. We'll go with 3. Those, and we want some garlic. This is minced garlic. I'm not going to put mint in this one. We of course want some turmeric. Turmeric is good for the joints, muscle pain. I want some Italian seasoning. I guess I should order some more of this. I think that the Italian seasoning has basil in it, but I'm going to add some more basil. It's not sweet that way. I'm actually going to add some sugar. This is cane sugar. You can see by the color. Not that artificial beet sugar that you see around. Just sweetens things up a little bit. And help counteract that ginger, because that ginger is pretty strong. I'm going to do 3 scoops. It's really maybe 3.5. And add up a new jar. Fill it. Now we need black pepper. So instead of minced garlic, I'm using minced onions. I'm using garlic powder. And what's nice is that it adds that onion flavor without, because the mince has to hydrate before it can be effective. And there usually isn't really much time for it. Jar's getting kind of full now. The thing I left is pepper. I have some mustard powder, but I'm not going to use that because my bottle's a little too full. I gotta put some more black pepper in there. Looks like I could use some more black pepper and Italian seasoning. Now the pepper will activate turmeric. Put it on a simmer.